Hi guys, it's Matthew. So first of all, before I even start, I'm very excited about the content of this video today. It is something brand new, and I feel like this concept, which I've never said before, is something that I will be saying for the next decade, if not my whole life in my coaching. At the end of this video, there will be a special announcement. I told you that in last week's video. Watch right to the end of this video so that you do not miss it. Okay, I want to get down to it. One of the biggest issues that I believe women experience with men is how to communicate their standards. The first problem for a lot of women is that they don't know what their standards are. They've never really articulated to themselves what is okay and what is not okay for a guy to do around me. What am I looking for? What kind of treatment do I expect? And even when they know what those standards are, how do I actually communicate these standards to a guy in a way that doesn't make me seem like a nag, too stubborn, high maintenance? Am I gonna come across as aggressive? Of course, people also have that fear of confrontation. I might not like what he just did, but I don't want to confront him because I don't want to create friction or awkwardness. Many people won't admit this out loud, but it's the reality. Communicating standards can be a very difficult thing. The sad part is that communicating your standards is one of the most attractive things you can do. If you know how to do that, you will get a guy attracted on a completely different level than other women can. So if you're avoiding communicating your standards, if your tendency is just to be passive, to hide the way you feel, or just to put your guard up and distance yourself from a guy so that he can't hurt you, but at the same time he never really understands, you're missing out on a really amazing opportunity to influence guys and create attraction. So how do you communicate your standard to a guy? Let's say a guy at the end of a first date says, "Do you want to come home with me?" However he says it. Guys each have their own special way of saying this. How do you deal with this question in a way that articulates your standard but doesn't create unnecessary friction or make things awkward between you? I've thought about two types of women that get this wrong. One type of woman who gets it wrong is the woman who is overly aggressive. She's the one who, when he says it, she says, "Are you kidding me? You think I would come back to your house after one date?" That's the woman that creates confrontation, bruises his ego, and makes him feel like he doesn't want to take any chances with her again. Then there's the woman who's kind of a little too sweet. She's too passive. Now, she may go one of two directions. She might say to him, she might make excuses and say, "You know what, I have so much work to do in the morning, I have to get up early, so I can't, but hopefully I'll see you later this week." So he never really knows that it was too fast-paced for her. All he knows is she made an excuse. Whether it was legitimate or not, he doesn't know, but he doesn't know what her standard is. The other type of sweet person or passive person goes home with him, even though it's not her pace to go home with someone that quickly. She does it because she doesn't want to create confrontation and she doesn't want to make things awkward, and she likes him, so she thinks, "I do like him and I do want to be close to him." So she goes back to his apartment. Maybe she has sex with him, maybe she doesn't, but she gets taken into a situation that she doesn't really want to be in. So neither of these work very effectively. One communicates standards but doesn't create any excitement for the guy. The aggressive woman, she shows her standard, but she doesn't necessarily get like excitement and continue the tension in a good way. She creates bad tension. And the woman who's too sweet, she doesn't create any sense of respect. Now, there's a concept in the food industry. When they're manufacturing food, they're looking for the optimal ratio of salt and sweet that stops you from being satiated, that stops you from being full, that keeps you wanting more, to the point where in food is what makes you overeat, right? Because you eat something and it's got that exact right level, which they have measured, they know. It's got that exact right level, and then you go, "I want another one. just one more. I want another one. I want another one. I want another one. And you keep eating and you don't lose your appetite because it's the optimal level. It's called the bliss point. The bliss point applies perfectly to communication with men. We are always looking for the bliss point in communication. What is the optimal level of salty and sweet when you communicate your standard? In our example before, the woman who was overly aggressive, a little too salty, right? Didn't create any excitement, didn't create any more desire, just created tension in a bad way, not the good tension. The one who was too sweet didn't show any standards. She wasn't salty enough. So now she just, at the end of it, he's going to get bored with her because she doesn't have standards, it seems, and he doesn't end up respecting her, and that means he gets less attracted. There is a woman who in this situation achieves the bliss point. She's the woman who says to the guy, you know what, there's a part of me that would love to, because you're super attractive, but it's not my style to move that quickly. I don't move that fast. But if you want to take me out later this week or next week, I'd love that. Okay, I'm going to repeat that because I want you to watch what happens in each step. There's 3 steps to this. 1, you know what? There's a part of me that would love to go back with you because I think you're really attractive. 2, but that's just not my style. I don't move that quickly. 3, if you want to go out this week or next week, however, I'd love that. That would be really cool. Now, these 3 things, what you've done is you've started by showing attraction. There's a part of me that would love to go back with you because I think you're super attractive. There you're creating all of these, like, this tension in a good way, these fireworks, these sparks, this desire. He's like, oh my God, she wants me. But part 2, I'm telling you my standard. I don't move that fast. That's not my style. I just don't move that quickly. He hears your standard now. And then lastly, you open the door for him to step up his game. So you say, but if you want to do something this week or next, I'd love that. That would be cool. This is the bliss point. This is the woman who has got the optimal level of salty and sweet that makes a guy want more, that stops a guy from being satiated, that makes him think, I need another one. In this case, it's another date, right? I need to see her again because she achieved the bliss point. I'm not gonna lie, when I was sitting there and this thing clicked for me, this idea of the bliss point, it might be one of the most exciting concepts that I've come across and thought about for attraction and human dynamics in general in a very, very long time. So my question to you is, firstly, did you find that example useful? Because if you did, I have many, many, many more that I have been working on for you. When I come up with almost like a neat little trick, a neat little turn of phrase, something you can actually say in the moment that can get you the result, women will use that and see that it works and come back to me and say, well, do you have something that I can say for this situation? And a guy just said this, or a guy just did this. What do I do in all of these different situations? In other words, for every one that I solve, it's like 10 more spring up. I never have time in these YouTube videos to be able to cover them all. It's just, it hasn't been possible. It's like the cutting the head off the beast and 3 more grow. So I have been working on a brand new program that is very different from the other things that I've done. And it's different in this way. I thought to myself, you know what? There are many, many different scenarios where women want to know the exact thing to say and do. They don't want just psychology. They don't just want a concept, because people hear the concept and then say, okay, I get the concept, so now what do I do? It's easy to say, you have to sound confident when you talk to guys. That's easy. It's easy to say, you know, it's important sometimes to not sound like you're too desperate with guys. That's easy. That's all like just philosophy. Actually then saying, well, how does that translate into what you say? How does that translate into a turn of phrase? What are the things that you should say that trigger a guy's attraction? And how can you say them in this situation, and this one, and this one, and this one? That's why this program has taken me so long. I wanted to create something where we took out all of the filler, all of the explanation, and just said, Now we're just gonna give you the juice. We're just gonna give you what you can say in all of these different scenarios. Last week I talked about it as the scripts, right? This idea that, you know what? There are certain scripts in dating and in relationships that just get the result. I feel confident that this is the most valuable program I've ever created. I will go as far as to say that the Get the Guy book pales in comparison to what I have created here that I am about to announce on Thursday. And I don't say that lightly because I'm proud of that book. It's my baby. I put my heart and soul into it when we did it. It was a New York Times bestseller, over 800 reviews on Amazon. It's 4.5 stars in Amazon. I think it has 80% 5-star reviews. And I know that people who read the Get the Guy book, the most common comment was this: I love the book, I just want more examples of how to use it. I want more examples of things that I can actually say to guys. That's what this is, all in one place with all of the fluff cut out and just the examples so that you can go and get the results immediately, and it's quick. That's why I believe it's the most valuable thing I've ever done, because it literally gives it to you on a plate. When this gets released, and by the way, this program is being released this coming Thursday. When it gets released, over 700,000 women are going to be hearing about this program. For the first 1,477 women who get on this program, I have 2 very special bonuses that I'm going to be announcing this Thursday when I announce the actual program. For now, here's what you need to do. Get yourself on the early bird list. There's a link under this video. There's going to be a link at the end of this video as well. Get yourself on that list now. Do not miss out. You'll know I'm not exaggerating here because we've released programs in the past. My previous program, we had an early bird list. Some people thought they didn't need to sign up for the early bird list, and then they missed out on the program altogether because they weren't there quick enough. The people that are on the early bird list are going to get a 20-minute head start. The doors are going to open for them 20 minutes before they open to the mass public. And as I said, 700,000 women are going to be hearing about this all at the same time. So the people on the early bird list are going to get first access. They'll literally get an email telling them to go and visit the page before everybody else. And of course, they have a much better chance of getting the 2 special bonuses that I'm going to announce on Thursday that are only available for the first 1,477 people. So there's really not a lot. That's it. I'll see you on Thursday. I can't wait for you to hear this. I'm very, very excited. I'll be counting the minutes. Until then, take care, guys. I'll see you soon.